Thanks so much, Mara. It's good to be with all of you. Um, I don't know how many were with us last year and how many are joining us for the first time this year. Last year we did our Eicha reading at night, and I'm definitely feeling the difference between doing this at night and in the morning. So for those who have been fasting, I want to say I hope it's an easy and manageable and meaningful fast for everyone. And whether or not you're fasting, I hope it's been a meaningful day thus far, and hope that this will add meeting our experience together. So as I just wanted to open with a little bit of framing about the Book of Eicha, Lamentations, um, and then our process is going to be making our way through the 5 prakim, the 5 chapters of Eicha. We'll stop every chapter or two for some framing, and also every chapter or two for some to invite some reflection for you. We're going to play that a little bit by ear when we stop to frame, when we stop to reflect, just in terms of managing our time. I think that on the website it said 10 to 11 Eastern, but Mara, when are we expecting our actual end time to be? A little bit later than
We're thinking 11:15, 11:30.
that? Okay. And we'll also say Mourner's Kaddish together at the end for those um, who need that today. I just wanted to underscore what Mara said, and just amplify a little bit. So we're here together on this wonderful learning platform of My Jewish Learning, and also we're not here for a class. We're here for a holiday ritual observance. So feel free to make whatever um, changes in your setup will be conducive to that. If you want to step away from the screen, turn off the camera, anything um, that will make it feel less like you're staring at a computer and more like we're drawing from the wisdom of our tradition um, to feel and contemplate on the themes of the day of Tisha B'Av and of the Book of Eicha. So on that note, let's talk about some of those themes. So Tisha B'Av is obviously a day of mourning. It's uh, a day where I think I mentioned last year, the rabbis like to kind of throw all tragedy into this one day, which maybe isn't a bad thing to not be constantly all year long marking tragedy. Um, but it does seem historically like the two temples, the first temple destroyed in 586 BCE and the second temple destroyed around 70 CE. It does actually seem like those events happened maybe a couple of days apart, right around this time of year, um, a couple of days and hundreds of years apart. So that's an interesting thing to think about. And excuse me, the rabbis broadened that to make Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, a vehicle for contemplating and mourning and grieving Jewish tragedy and loss. So I think the fact that the rabbis do that actually really invites us to mourn on this day what each of us feels we need to mourn. Whether for you that's mourning actually the loss of the temple or other kinds of Jewish loss today, historically, personal loss. I think all of that is actually pretty explicitly invited by the way Tisha B'Av is dealt with in the sources, and also, as we'll see in the Book of Eicha itself. Some of the themes in the Book of Eicha that again I think invite us to think about the day and this reading that we'll engage in a moment together. some of the I lost the train of that sentence. I'm definitely feeling some of my fasting. I apologize for that. Some of the themes in the book that I think create that invitation to mourn the things we need to mourn and the ways we need to mourn include aloneness and destruction and betrayal. The theme addresses both personal loss and communal loss. There's a lot of chaos in this book, chaos within order. It's an interesting book in how orderly it is. We have 5 chapters, as I mentioned. Chapters 1 and 2 and chapters 4 and 5 each have 22 verses, which is the number of verses in the Hebrew alphabet. Chapter 3 has 66 verses, which is 3 times 22. So there's a lot of order right there in the structure. The first 4 chapters are acrostics. And yet within that kind of very orderly structure, there's kind of a full range of emotional themes. Maybe not so much kind of joy and celebration, but there is some emotional chaos in terms of, as I said, aloneness, emptiness, destruction, abandonment, a sense of abandonment by God, a sense of the sinfulness of the Jewish people, which is really core to ancient theology, which can be sometimes difficult, sometimes maybe less difficult to connect to today. But that's very much there because tragedy was seen in ancient times as a divine response to communal wrongdoing. And then there are also other themes like comfort, like hope, like God will come back to us. God actually is still there, even if we don't always feel God. So that's why I think it invites us to kind of go through the range of emotions associated with loss and grief that are there, all of the range of emotions that are there, and those that kind of we each need to feel. One more thing that I wanted to mention that is less a theme explicitly in the book, but that but I think is a core theme of Tisha B'Av based on our rabbinic texts, and something that really I'm thinking about a lot this year is the idea that the temple was destroyed because of sinat chinam, translated usually as baseless hatred. Just kind of enmity among people, specifically within the Jewish community. It's rooted in a story in the Talmud about kind of a mistaken invitation to a party, and a person is embarrassed and in front of others, and this in the story actually leads to a series of events culminating in the destruction of the temple. And I think it's a very powerful story, illustrating that even one interaction, but certainly kind of a whole climate of distrust, disrespect, lack of ahavat chinam, as some people say, kind of sort of a posture and a default posture of love, of fellowship, of benefit of the doubt. The lack of that really leads to a breakdown with the culmination that's truly calamitous and massive in scale. That's something that I'm really thinking about a lot this year. There's a lot to mourn in a lot of different parts of the world. And I see a lot to mourn, honestly, on my social media feed every day. I just I see people. It's actually been really been a source of pain for me in the last year. Just kind of, we have a lot of political division, especially, I don't think I need to tell you, around Israel and Gaza, and kind of the betrayal, the ease and speed with which people kind of charge one another with betrayal, with not having the best interests of the Jewish people in mind. That's been really hard for me to see. So that's kind of my main focus this Tisha B'Av, mourning the temple as a fragmentation of Jewish unity, as a loss of a place and a symbol that brought Jews together. I think we need some more unity these days, and unity doesn't need to mean sameness of political belief or anything else. It needs to, a sense of shared stakes and trust and love, despite and across difference. So that's where I'm at today. So on that note, just before we begin, we wanted to open the chat briefly and see where you are at today. If you're at the computer or iPad or whatever you're at, and you want to share kind of what you're bringing into this space this morning, if it's morning wherever you are, and what you're hoping to get out of it, we would love to hear from you for a minute. The chat's open, Mare.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll read a little bit out loud for those who aren't looking at their screens or prefer to keep the chat closed. Sinfulness is simply disconnect from the Creator. Feeling needy, thinking about the hostages, being grateful for community, the need to come together. Calm. I'm glad that someone's feeling calm. Mourning and uncertainty, wanting to connect with community. Desolation about the hostages whose lives hang by a thread. The speed of accusations against each other. Thinking about children in Gaza. Anti-Semitism. Mourning that anti-Semitism is so common and so acceptable, even from people I thought I trusted. Learning to read Hebrew and want to hear the chanting. The hate in the world. As someone's first Jewish holiday that they're observing. We really welcome you especially. We're honored by having you here today. Mourning betrayal and loss in the family. Sad but grateful. Hoping that our memory of destruction can open our hearts to empathy for the current suffering. That's beautiful. Someone noted that they weren't feeling strong enough to fast today, and I just wanted to give complete permission for that. It's a fast day, but there are many ways to mourn, and many contexts in the tradition that gives permission not to fast. So I'm sure that there are a number of people here who aren't fasting. So if that you are one of those people, do not feel like you're alone or somehow outside of this community. Overwhelming sadness over the state of the world in general, especially Israel hostages, Gaza war, personal loss. Oh my goodness. All right. We're bringing a lot into this space today. I'm going to stop reading out loud, but I really, really appreciate loneliness. Everything breaks my heart. Wow. I feel that too sometimes. Okay, I'm going to stop reading because it's a lot. It's really a lot, but this is pretty profound tone setting for for what we're doing here today. So I'm very grateful to everyone for sharing. Thank you so, so much. And others who are fasting are noting the physical impact of that. Okay. I hate to not read all of these because they're so meaningful, but I will. All right, I came especially to hear the melody of Eicha. That's the last comment I'm going to read because that's perfect. Oh, and in response to the question about the song that we were hearing at the beginning, that was by the Rivers of Babylon, which is from Psalm I think 137. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept, remembering Zion destroyed. That was the song that we heard. All right, thank you again. So we'll move forward with our ritual reading of the Book of Eicha now. Again, just some of the themes specifically in this chapter: emptiness, aloneness, exile, both children and leaders taken captive, this intense focus on sinfulness, on being the object of scorn as a people, which I think maybe we're feeling in a more acute way than we have in some years past. The sense of invasion, hunger, despair, agony, anguish, and punishment and rejection from God. So those are some of the key themes in this first chapter. And if you're looking along with the verses, you will see those themes there. Eicha yashva v'adad ha'ir bat yam hayeta ke'amana rabati v'goyim sarati b'medinot hayeta lamas b'chotiv ke'balayla v'dimata al lecheya En lach menachem mikol ohaveh, kol re'eha b'geduva, hayula le'oyevim. Galata Yehuda me'oni u'merov avota, hi yasheva v'goyim, lo matza manoach, kol rodefei sikua bein hametzarim. Darchei Tzion avelot, מבלי באי מועד, כל שעריה שוממים, כהניה נאנחים. בתולותיה נוגות והיא מרלה, היו צריה לראש אויביה שלו, כי אדוני הוגה על רוב פשעיה. עוללה הלכו שבי לפני צר. ויצא מבת ציון כל הדרה, היו שריה כאיילים לא מצאו מרעה, וילכו ולא כוח לפני רודף. זכרה ירושלים ימי עוניה ומרותיה, כל מחמודיה אשר היו מימי קדם. בנפול עמה ביד צר, ואין עוזר לה, ראו הצרים, שחקו על משפטיה. חץ חטאה ירושלים, על כן נידה הייתה. כל מכבדיה הזילוה, כי ראו ערוותה, גם היא נאנחה ותשוב אחור. תומתה בשוליה, לא זכרה אחריתה, ותרד פלאים, אין מנחם לה. ראה אדוני את עוני, כי הכתי לאויב. ידו פרס צר על כל מחמדיה. כי ראתה גויים באו מקדשה, אשר ציווית, לא יבוא בקהל לך. כל עמה נאנחים מבקשים לכם, נתנו מחמדיהם באוכל להשיב נפש. ראה אדוני והביטה, כי הייתי זוללה. לא עליכם כל עוברי דרך, הביטו וראו, אם יש מכאוב כמכאובי, אשר עולה לי, אשר הוגה אדוני ביום חרון אפו. ממרום שלח אש בעצמותי וירדנה, פרס רשת לרגלי, השיבני אחור, נתנני שוממה, כל היום דבה. נזכר עול פשעי בידו, הסתרגו, עלו על צווארי, הכשיר כוחי. נתנני אדוני בידי לא אוכל קום. סלח כל אבירי אדוני בקרבי, קרא עלי מועד לשבור בחורי. גד טרח אדוני לבתולת בת יהודה, על אלה אני בוכייה, איני יורד המים, כי רחק ממני, מנחם משיב נפשי. היו בניי שוממים, כי גבר אויב. פרס ציון בידיה, אין מנחם לה. ציווה אדוני ליעקב סביביו צריו. הייתה ירושלים לנידה ביניהם. צדיקו אדוני כי פיהו מריתי. שמעונה כל העמים, וראו מכאובי, בתולותי ובחורי הלכו בשבי. קראתי למאהבי, המה רימוני, כהני וזקני בעיר גבעו, כי ביקשו אוכל למו וישיבו את נפשם. ראה אדוני כי צר לי מאי חומר מרו. נפח ליבי בקרבי כי מרו מריתי. מחוץ שיקל החרב בבית כמוות. שמעו כי נאנחה אני, אין מנחם לי. כל אויבי שמעו רעתי ששו, כי אתה עשית. הבאת יום קראת ויהיו כמוני. תבוא כל רעתם לפניך ועולל למו, כאשר עוללת לי על כל פשעי. כי רבות הנחותיי וליבי דווי. I forgot that some of the verses in this ancient text really have some direct resonance for us today in terms of hunger, in terms of captivity. As we move into the second chapter, I just wanted to highlight some of the themes for you. As you'll see in the verses, there's a lot in this chapter too about God's wrath. There's really a lot of detail about extreme destruction, mourning, sitting, crying, being hungry, and jeering by everyone who sees the city and its inhabitants in their destruction, in their destroyed state. Eicha ya'if be'apo Adonai et bat Zion, hishlich mishamayim eretz tiferet Yisrael, v'lo zachar Adon raglav b'yom apo. Bila Adonai v'lo chamal et kol neot Yaakov haras bevrato. Mivtzerei vat Yehuda higia la'aretz, chilel mamlacha v'sareha. Gada b'choriaf kol keren Yisrael. Heshiv achor yemino mipnei oyev. Vayifar b'Yaakov ke'esh lehava achelas aviv. Darach kashto ke'oyev. Nitzav yemino ketzar. Vayaharok kol machamatei ayin. באוהל בת ציון, שפך כאש חמתו. היה אדוני כאויב בילה ישראל, בילה כל ארמנותיה, שיחת מבצריו, וירף בבת יהודה, תעניה ועניה. ויחמוס כגן סוכו, שיחת מועדו. שיקח אדוני בציון מועד ושבת, וינעץ בזם אפו מלך וכהן. זנח אדוני מזבחו, ניער מקדשו, הזכיר ביד אויב חומות ארמנותיה. כל נתנו בבית אדוני כיום המועד. חשב אדוני להשחית חומת בת ציון, נתקה והשיב ידו מבעליה. ויעבר חיל וחומה יחדיו ומללו. טבעו בארץ שעריה, איבד ושיבר בריחיה. מלכה ושרה בגויים אין תורה, גם נביאיה לא מצאו חזון מאדוני. ישבו לארץ ידמו זקני בת ציון, העלו עפר על ראשם, חגרו שקים. הורידו לארץ ראשן בתולות ירושלים. כלו בדמעות עיני, חומר מרומי. נשפך לארץ כבדי על שבר בת עמי, בעטף עולל ויונק ברחובות קריה. לאמותם יאמרו איה דגן ויין, בהתעטפם כחלל ברחובות עיר. V'yishapech nafsham el chek imotam. Ma'idech ma'ad hamelach habat Yerushalayim ma'ashvelach v'anachamech betulat bat Zion ki gadol kayam shifrech miyir palach Nevi'aich chazulach shav v'tafel V'lo gilu al avonech lashiv shavutech Vayechezu lach masot shav umaduchim Safeku alaich kapayim kol overei derech Sharaku vayaniu rosham al bat Yerushalayim Hazot ha'ir sheyomeru kelilat yofi masos lechol haaretz Patzu alaich pihem kol oyevaich Sharaku vayacharku shein ameru bilanu Ach ze hayom shekivinu matzanu ra'inu Asa Adonai asher zamam Bitza emrato asher tziva mimekedem haras v'lo chama Vaysamach alaich oyehev herim keren sarai Ta'ak libam el Adonai Chomat bat Zion Horidi chanachal dim'a yomam v'layla Al titani fugat lach Al tidom bat einech Kumi roni balayla L'rosh hashmurot Shifchi chamayim libech nochach pnei Adonai Se'i elav kapayich al nefesh olalaich hatufim bera'av berosh kol chutzot Re'ei Adonai ve'abita lemi olal tako Im tochalna nashim piryam olalei tipuchim Im yehareg b'mikdash Adonai kohen v'navi Shachalu la'aretz chutzot na'ar v'zaken betulotai uvachurai nafelu v'charev Haragta b'yom ha'pecha tavachta lo chamalta Tikra kiyom moed megurai misaviv V'lo haya b'yom af Adonai palit v'sarid Asher tipachti beribiti oyevi chilam So it's going to take a short break now before the third chapter. I'm going to rest my voice for a moment, and I wanted to invite folks to share any reflections you feel like sharing with Mara and in the private chat, and she will share a few selections with us just as we pause to catch our breaths.
While I see people typing, and I just want to give everyone a chance to do so. But Rabbi, I noticed a few times, and I don't know if this was for musicality reasons, but you took some breaths after some particularly hard verses, and I appreciated that because I noticed myself sort of tensing up, and hearing your breath reminded me to breathe. And so thank you for that. but I'll wait and see if we have any more messages. I'm having a message from Eliza or Eliza, I'm not sure, who says, and I completely agree that it's all so visual, and it's like sort of even hard to imagine how this could happen. And the reference to cannibalism is really hard, and like what is the ways that this is real and what is the way that this is metaphor. I think those lines can be pretty blurry. And another Eliza asks, and when we go to the next chapter, you'll see there's a samech after each couplet. And I was wondering if you could speak to why that might be.
Sure. So you'll see sometimes in digital versions of biblical texts, sometimes the letter samech in brackets and sometimes the letter pei in brackets, and those refer to different to breaks in the actual text as it's written by a scribe in a cloth, in a parchment. A samech refers to a break within a line. It's for the word closed in Hebrew, and a pei refers to a break that it starts at wherever it has the pei there, and then it continues till the end of a line. So sort of a full line break, which refers to the word open in Hebrew. So yeah, as Mara said, we'll see many of them in these triplets in the next chapter, but that's what those refer to.
And I know we have a lot more text, but I've received a few messages that are just noting how Israel and Jerusalem are like very clearly feminized. We're saying them only through gendered language and through being seen as female. So I don't know if there's any commentary or any thoughts you'd want to share on that.
So we certainly have heteronormative ancient texts, and the relationship between God and the Jewish people is often imagined as a male-female relationship, which I think actually is kind of less about gender and more just about imagining a relationship of love. So and also as you know, even in kind of secular Western culture, we refer sometimes to cities or ships or buildings or different kinds of structures as she. There's probably someone here who knows more than I do about why that is. But I don't know this, but it's interesting to theorize. Perhaps there's also in kind of a perhaps there's some kind of gender stereotyped level of thinking about the female more as an object, more vulnerable, perhaps. I definitely think, as I'm sure you all have seen, the kind of the vulnerability, kind of the and the ruin that's resulted is certainly there. So maybe there is some connection there with gender, although there's also a lot of beauty about the city of Jerusalem that uses gender terminology as well. So I would say if you kind of want to go with with gender symbolism, you should feel free. And if you want to think of it as just sort of a relationship structure. I think either is legitimate.
Thank you so much. Okay.
All right, so I didn't say anything about the cantillation of the Book of Eicha before, but you've heard it now. Cantillation in English, trope in Yiddish and English, Ta'amei Mikra in Hebrew. These are the sets of musical melodic motifs that we have. Every text that we read liturgically throughout the Jewish year has its own. So this is the standard Ashkenazi trope for Eicha that I've been using, and I think personally, I think it evokes the content themes very powerfully. You're going to hear now in the third chapter, the trope completely changes. It's actually not a trope at all. It's a tune that's applied to the whole, a melody that's applied to the whole chapter, which, as we said before, has a slightly different structure. It's a triple acrostic. So we have 3 verses with Aleph, 3 verses with Bet, 3 verses with Gimel, and you'll hear that's actually the structure for the melody. So every first verse in a triplet sounds the same way, every second verse in a triplet sounds another way, and every third verse in a triplet sounds a third way. So that's what you'll hear musically. It's also, I think, evocative of the themes, but just different. And I to be honest, I don't know where that tradition comes from. Just a quick word about the content. It's a very interesting and complex chapter. We have in the first third of the chapter, around verses 1 to 20, they really continue to focus on suffering, as we have been. Then there's a very remarkable shift in the second third of the chapter, going to thinking about the possibility of hope and comfort. There's kind of just some introspection there. And then the final third, from verses 42 to 66, is kind of a real mix. There's real agony there. There's, again, this theme of sinfulness being an object of scorn, punishment, but then also hope and faith and comfort. So it's really a complex chapter, but it's the frame shifts to a personal one in this chapter. So you'll see that in the verses. אני הגבר העוני בשבט עברתו, אותי נהג ויולך חושך ולאור, אך בי ישוב יהפוך ידו כל היום. בילה בשרי ואורי שיבר עצמותיי, בנה עלי ויקף ראש ותלאה, במחשכים הושיבני כמתי עולם. גדר בעדי ולא אצא, הכביד נחושתי, גם כי אזעק ואשבע, סתם תפילתי. גדר דרכי בגזית, נתיבותי עיווה. דוב עורב הוא לי, ארי במסתרים, דרכי סורר ויפשחני, שמני שומם, דרך קשתו ויציבני, כמטרה לחץ. הביא בכליותי בני אשפתו, הייתי שחוק לכל עמי, נגינתם כל היום. השביעני במרומים, הרווני לענה. ויגרס בחצת שיני, הכפישני באפר. ותזנח משלום נפשי, נשיתי טובה. ואומר עבד נצחי, ותאכלתי מאדוני. Zachar oni umrudi la'ana varosh, Zachor tizkor, v'tashoach alai nafshi, Zot ashiv el libi al kein ochil. Chasei Adonai ki lo tamnu, ki lo chalu rachamav. Chadashim labekarim, rabba emunatecha. Chelki Adonai amara nafshi, al kein ochil lo. Tov Adonai lekovav, lenefesh tidrashenu. Tov v'yachil v'dumam, litzuat Adonai. Tov lakever, ki saol binurav. Yeshev badad v'idom, ki natal alav. Yitain be'afar pihu, ulai yesh tikva. Yitain lemakehu lechi, yispa becherpa. Ki lo yiznach leolam Adonai, ki imho gav v'richam kerov chasadav. Ki lo ina milibo vayageh b'nei ish. L'dakei tachat raglav kol asirei haaretz, Latot mishpat gaver neged pnei elyon, Lavet adam berivo Adonai lo ra'ah. Mi ze amar vatehi, Adonai lo tzivah. Mipi elyon lo tetzei haraot ve'atov, Ma yitzonen adam chai gever al chataav. Nachpesa derachenu v'nachkora v'nashuva ad Adonai. Nisa levavenu el kapayim el bashamayim. Nachnu fashanu umarinu, ata lo salachta. Sakota va'af vatir zefenu, haragta lo chamalta. Sakota ve'anan lach me'avor tefillah. Silchi u'ma'oz tesimenu b'karev ha'amim. Patsu aleinu pihem kol oyeveinu. Pachad v'fachat hayalanu, hashet ve'ashaver. Palgimayim teirad eini al shever batami. Eini nigira velo tidme me'ein afugot. Ad yashkif v'yere Adonai mishamayim. Eini olala lenafshi mikol benotiri. Tzod tzaduni katzipor oyevai chinam. Tzamatu v'abor chayai v'yadu eben bi. Tzafu mayim al roshi amarti nigzarti. Harati shimcha Adonai mibor tachtiot. Koli shamata al talem oznecha l'ravchati l'shavati. Karavta biyom ekra'eka amarta al tira. Ravta Adonai rivei nafshi ga'alta chayai. Ra'ita Adonai avatati, shofta mishpati. Ra'ita kol nikmatam, kol machshavotam li. Shamata cherpatam Adonai, kol machshavotam alai. Siftei kamai ve'egyonam alai kol hayom. Shivtam v'kimatam abita ani manginatam. Tashiv lahem gemul Adonai gemaaseh yedeyem. Titein lahem meginat lev ta'alatcha lahem. Tirdof be'af v'tashmidem mitachad shemei Adonai. Apologies for my mysterious pause in there. I'm using my own version to read from, and I suddenly got nervous that I had skipped a page, so I wanted to make sure that I was not skipping any verses. So I just went back to check. Let's take another just brief pause and invite any reflections that folks want to share with Mira, and then we'll go forward to read the last two chapters. Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Rabbi, you mentioned before how this sounds different than the others. Someone has said this one feels so personal, and I'm curious what that means for you. But also, like in the scroll itself, is there a difference in there's no trope in this chapter, or like how did we inherit this custom of this chapter being different?
So I wish I knew more. There actually is trope, which that you have to ignore when you're reading. So if you're someone who notices all of the melodic signals there all the time, I mean, it's you have to. When I transition to the third chapter, it's like I have to keep telling my brain, ignore the trope, and then when I go to the fourth chapter, then I have to remember to look at the trope. So I don't know where the tradition comes to not use that trope. It's not. It's unique in the text that we read ritually in having. I think this is correct, in having an entire chapter that's read so differently. But it's not the only text like this. Um, there are some texts that have where there's kind of an oral tradition to ignore the trope and read it with a different trope. There's with Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, some traditions actually have a melody for that has nothing to do with trope at all. So, but I don't know of anything that's an entire chapter like this. And yeah, the melody it is very personal. I think it goes with the text. It's very evocative in its own kind of personally agonizing way. Whoever came up with it and whoever passed it down, I think did a good job with that.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's helpful at all.
Yeah, I
Sorry to interrupt you. I should say in scrolls themselves, there's no trope written. There are no vowels or trope actually written in our scrolls. It's just the letters themselves. Vowels are an add-on in Hebrew as opposed to in English where vowels are, of course, letters. So none of it actually is in the scroll at all. It's all of it, all of the tamim, all of the trope marks, and how we sing them are all oral tradition. Sorry, go ahead, Mira.
Thank you. I just sort of wanted to say that the chat, the messages I'm getting are chaotic. When we opened this, we sort of said that, and then I just wanted to sort of frame that a little more. Like there are these sort of technical questions of like, why is there a letter here? And is the trope in this way? And then there's also the like very large feelings that come when we're reading these really, really excruciating verses. And I think in this chapter in particular, we're like being people are digging pits and also finding hope, and those things feel so unfathomable at the same time. And so I just I guess I want to underline that it's okay that we're feeling chaotic. This is a chaotic text and a little bit of a chaotic experience to be holding all of these things at once. Okay, so great. And also folks who have come to My Jewish Learning Things before, who are used to like a full open chat, I hear you. We are keeping it closed, so we can, while we're in the ritual moment, we can stay in the ritual moment. But I'm seeing all your messages and I'm attempting to pull out themes. So thank you for continuing to use the chat in this different way. Yeah, and okay, I think we can, if you are ready, Rabbi, we can move on to the next chapter.
Yeah, thanks, Mara, and thanks everyone for kind of going with the changes in format, since we're trying to, have it feel like a ritual, and not just like a class, while retaining a sense of community. Yeah, that chapter really is a doozy. In terms of just hope, ridicule. It's really a blend, a chaotic blend or non-blend of feelings there. So the fourth chapter, we return to our regular trope, our regular set of melodic motifs. We're back to suffering and persecution, and the sense of abandonment by God is very strong in this chapter, and again, that sense of being, as a people, an object of scorn and ridicule, which is painful. Eicha yuam zahav, yishne haketem hatov, tishapech navne kodesh, birosh kol chutzot, b'nei Tzion haikarim, hamsulaim bapaz, eicha nechshavu l'niflei cheres, ma'aseh yedei yotzer. Gam tanim chalatzu shad, heiniku gurehen. Bat ami le'achzar, kai enim bamidbar. Davak leshon yoneg, el chiko batzama. Olalim shalu lechem, pores ein lahem. Haochalim lama'adanim, nashamu bachutzot. Ha'emonim alei tolach, chibeku ashpatot. Vayigdal avon bat ami, mechatat Sedom, hafucha chemoraga, velo chaluva yadayim. Zaku nezireha misheleg, tzachu mechalav. Adamu etzem, mipeninim, sapir gizratam. Chashav mishachor ta'oram, lo nikeru bachutzot. Tzafad oram al atzmam, yavesh hayach ha'etz. טובים היו חללי חרב מחללי רעב, שהם יעזובו מדוכרים מתנובות שדי. ידי נשים רחמניות בישלו ילדיהן, היו לברות למו ושבר בתמי, כי לאדוני את חמתו שפך חרון אפו. ויצאת אש בציון ותאכל יסודותיה, לא האמינו מלכי ארץ כל יושבי תבל, כי יבוא צר ואויב בשערי ירושלים. מחטות נביאה עוונות כהניה, השופכים בקרבה דם צדיקים. נעו עברים בחוצות, נגועלו בדם, ולא יוכלו ייגעו בלבושיהם. סורו טמא, קראו לעמו, סורו אל תיגעו, כי נצו גם נעו. אמרו בגויים לא יוסיפו לגור. פני אדוני חילקם, לא יוסיף להביטם. פני כהנים לא נשאו, וזקנים לא חננו. עודנו תכלנה עינינו, אל עזרתנו הבל. בציפיותינו ציפינו, אל גוי לא יושיע. צעדו צעדינו מלכת ברחובותינו, קרב קיצנו, מלאו ימינו קיבה קיצנו. קלים היו רודפינו מנשרי שמיים, אל ההרים דלקונו, במדבר ערבו לנו. רוח אפינו משיח אדוני נלכד בשחיתותם, אשר אמרנו בצילו נחיה בגויים. שישי ושמחי בת אדום יושבת בארץ עוץ, גם עלייך תעבור כוס, תשכרי ותתערי. תם עוונך בת ציון, לא יוסיף להגלותך. פקד עוונך בת אדום, גילה על חטאותייך. So the last chapter, it has more of this these difficult feelings and images that we've been reading so far, and it also ends with a note of comfort with the verse, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem. Take us back, O Lord, to yourself. Bring us back to yourself. Let us come back. Renew our days as of old, which is a verse that will be familiar to regular service goers from the end of the Torah service as we put the ark away. The verse actually, the chapter and the book as a whole actually don't end with that verse. It's the penultimate verse, 21 of the chapter. And the tradition is to go back to that verse to make a point of ending on a note of hope. So the way it's read is the reader, that's me today. I will read through the end, verse 22, and then I'm going to pause. And if you're inclined, you can chant that verse 21 again. So we read through verse 19, 20, 21, 22. Then the congregation reads verse 21 to emphasize that note of hope, and then the reader again closes with verse 21 on that note of comfort and hope, or maybe that's too strong a term. It's asking but God to take us back, but I think implied there is a sense that God will take us back, that there's a relationship restored, since there, as you've seen, there's so many mentions of abandonment by God. It's a note of faith, I think. Maybe that's a better term than hope, that that somehow things can be restored. Relationships can be restored, the world as it should be. There's some chance that it can be restored. So that's how we'll close the reading and close chapter 5. Zechor Adonai mehaya lanu, habita urei et cherpatenu, nachalatenu nefcha lezarim, batenu lenochrim. Yitomim hayinu ve'einav, imotenu ke'almanot. Meimenu bechasef shatinu, eitzenu b'mchir yavo. Al tzavarenu nirdafnu, yaganu velo nachlanu. Mitzrayim natanu yad, Ashur lisboa lachem. Avotenu chateu ve'einam, va'anachnu avonotehem savalnu. Avadim ma sheluvanu, porek ein miyadam. B'nafshenu navi lachmenu, mipenei cherev hamidbar. Orenu ketanur nichmaru, mipenei zalafot ra'av. Nashim betzion inu, betulot be'arei Yehuda. Sarim beyadam nitluhu, penei zakenim lo nedaru. Bachurim techon nasa'u, un'arim ba'etz kashalu. Zakenim mishar shavatu, bachurim minaginatam. Shavat mesos libenu, nepach level mecholenu, nafela ateret roshenu, oina lanu ki chatanu. Al zeh hayadavel libenu, al ele chashechu einenu. Al har Tzion sheshameim, shu'alim hilechu vo. Ata Adonai leolam teshev, kisacha ledor vador. Lama lanetach tishkachenu, ta'azvenu leorech yamim. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekedem. Ki im ma'os me'astanu, katzafta aleinu ad me'od. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekedem. brings us to the end of the Book of Eicha. In a moment, we're going to sing together kind of the most well-known piyut, the liturgical hymn of Tisha B'Av, Elid Sion. We wanted to just briefly, one more time, invite your reflections, Tamara, if you'd like to share them. Or if people don't have them with Mara, we can go ahead. Either way.
I'm getting a note that it says the text feels more like wrath towards God than of abandonment.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Why have you abandoned us?
And I think there's also folks who are touching on how it does end with hope. And I'll just note that like in all of our pauses before, people are sharing different things. And I think one beautiful thing of the ritual is that, last year us as individuals may have felt differently than we do this year, and we might feel differently next year. And there is also some beauty in that. But we're not all feeling the same things, even though we're using this container together. Okay. And people are very complimentary of your voice, which I will echo. Yeah.
Here to serve.
Okay. Do you have any framing you want to do for our piyut?
I'm just thinking about what you said. We're not where we were last year. We're not in the same places as each other. I was thinking as, just all of the different contemporary forces and kind of lamentable things going on right now in the world that are evoked in the verses. There's sort of something. There's something for everyone there. Whatever is troubling you in the world, it's somehow there in the verses. There's some if you're thinking about your own life, if you're thinking about hostages, if you're thinking about leadership, if you're thinking about children in Gaza, there's whatever you're thinking about, whatever your kind of the focus of or more than one primary focus of your grief and your mourning. It's kind of all there. So I would say that speaks well of our tradition, that it gives all of us space. Elid Sion, it has its own mournful melody, and it's a strange. I always think it's a strange thing to think, because the imagery is brutal, and here we are, just singing it in this melodic way. So it's a little bit more of the same, I would say, but it's a later text. It's a medieval text. It's crafted specifically as a poem, but it's very very tough imagery. But I guess it's just a different kind of vehicle for us to mourn together. So I hope that although folks are muted, I hope that you will sing with me from where you are. You'll put the text down, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, that's the second time I did that where I have it on my screen and forgot to share. So thank you.
Elid Sion ve'areha kemo isha b'tzireha v'chivtu lach aguratzak al bal neureha alei armon asher nutash השמצה נדרה, ועל ביאז מחורפיה, בתוך מקדש. I read that wrong, I'm sorry. ועל ביאז מחורפיה, בתוך מקדש חדרה, עלי גלות משרתיה, נעימי שיר זמרה, ועל דמם אשר שופך, כמו מימי יאורה, עלי הגיון מחולה, אשר דמם בערה, ועבד אשר שמן, וביטול סנהדריה, עלי זבחי תמידה, ופדיוני בכורה, ועל חילוק כלי היכל, ומזבח קטורה, עלי טפי מלאכיה, בני דוד גבירה, ועל יופיים אשר חשך, בעת צרוק קטרה, עלי כבוד אשר גלה, בעת חורבן דבירה, ועל לוחץ אשר לחץ, ושם שקים חגורה, עלי מחץ ורוב מכות, אשר הוכו נזירה, ועל ניפוץ אלי סלע, עוללה נערה, עלי שמחת משנאה, בסוך כמה שברה, ועל עינוי בני חורין, נדיבה טהורה, עלי פשע אשר עבתה, סלו דרך אשורה, ועל צבאות קהלה, שזופה שחורה, עלי קולות מחורפיה, בעת רבו וגרה, ועל רגשת מגדפיה, בתוך משכן חצרה, עלי שמך אשר חולל, בפי קמי מצרה, ועל תחן ישבו לך, כשוב ושמע מהרה, עלי ציון וערה, כמו אישה בצירה, וכיפתו לך הגורצה, הבא להוראה. I noticed that there were some, this is my, I created this set of slides and I noticed there were some transliteration errors, so I apologize for those. And if we do this again next year, I'll be sure to fix those beforehand. I just, maybe just one more note on that piyut, just, that you if you were looking at the Hebrew, you saw it's also an acrostic. It's just such an interesting thing, I think, in our tradition, this desire to kind of hold agony within this orderly vessel, but maybe it's kind of a statement on the importance of having having vessels to hold agony, that we don't sweep those emotions and our mourning under the rug. It's orderly because it's a core part of life. So I hope that this this reading today has been a meaningful and kind of emotionally productive and reflective vehicle for you to hold this wide range of difficult emotions. In a moment, we're going to say Kaddish Yatom Mourner's Kaddish. We just wanted to open the chat one last time, actually, for everyone. If you want to share with the group what you're taking away, please feel free to do that. I'll share for myself. I started by saying how painful kind of all of the sinat chinam, the kind of internal anger and judgment and mistrust in the Jewish community has been for me in the last year, and what I'm taking away is a sense of community today, and a reminder that people can come together Jewishly and universally across all kinds of differences. So my prayer is that this is our experience together this morning could be a little bit of a taste of more to come, more unity and togetherness to come.
Thank you. For those who may or may not have been to my Jewish learning spaces, or particularly our Kaddish Minyan, I think there is something beautifully chaotic about Kaddish on Zoom, and we can, say it together. And of course, we are there's it's always disparate because that is the nature of online Kaddish. But in just a moment, I will share the text on the screen. If it is your custom to stand, please feel free to stand, or if you are in the midst of your fast and aren't feeling able to do so, that's not a problem whatsoever. And you're welcome to put your thoughts in the chat, put names in the chat. And I often like to encourage folks to shift their screen so they can see 10 other people to, help us fit into a Kaddish mindset. And then also to minimize some of the chaos. We'll wait for Rabbi Andelman to start us off. So I'm going to put the text on the screen, and I'm going to share my screen, and then thank you for your patience as I click many buttons. Okay, I will now ask everyone to unmute and wait for Rabbi Andelman to start us off.
Yitkazal,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, Mara.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi
Thank you,
Julia.
Have a
Rabbi.
good fast,
Everyone.
whoever is fasting.
Thank you,
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Rabbi. Bless you all. Thank you,
grace
Rabbi.
and
Thank you,
peace.
Mara.
Bye.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you,
Rabbi.
lots of
Shalom
you
to
guys.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
And easy fast to all
My
those
goodness.
who are fasting.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.